Welcome to The Bench Has Spoken, a Survivor podcast from Bench Points Network. Each week, we watch the latest episode of Survivor and provide a recap, parody, and then our predictions for the next week's episode. I'm Mary, and this is Becca. We are longtime friends, but longer time Survivor fans. Becca, this week's episode was double the pleasure, double the fun. Oh, wait, that's the bubblegum. This was double the fun, double the demise.
I love it.
What an exciting ride.
It was an exciting run. And there was a lot that went on this episode. So right when the episode kicked off, obviously they were coming back straight from tribal council where Dee had just got voted off. One of the most interesting points of last episode that carried over to this one was Tiffany was way more mad about Dee going home than I expected. And I don't know if she's mad that somebody that she had an alliance with went home or if she thought people lied to her and that's why she was mad. But she was scathing again, which was very similar to how she reacted the last tribal. My only tidbit to say to Tiffany is, girl, if you're surprised 2 weeks in a row, don't be surprised when your name's next. I think if she wouldn't have won immunity this episode, she'd be a goner for sure.
Yeah, you can see that.
And I still don't, and we talked about this.
And I was trying to remember, like, I remember liking Tiff in her first season. And I remember her having, a big personality and stuff, but I guess I don't really remember if she was like heated a lot, but it was interesting. And I almost felt like it was projection. Like she was really mad because it's like a sign of her own demise, like her time is limited, her days are numbered because she is outside of the votes now. And every time somebody gets voted off who is not in one of these other alliances, that's just less of a chance that she has to form one or be involved in one.
Yeah. You know who I think Tiff would have played really, really well with? MC, because I think they would have balanced each other out really well.
So,
MC.
yeah, she was pretty chill. And I feel like Tiffany in the last couple challenges, or maybe a few of the challenges over the last few episodes, she's shown that she's like physically very strong. Like we obviously knew that she was. But yeah, I could see that. I'm also kind of surprised that she and Stephanie didn't form some sort of alliance post-merge. I guess maybe then it was too late, but I feel like they could work together well too.
It's going to be interesting with Coach gone. So I feel like Cirie is obviously a pillar this season, and I feel like Coach was a pillar this season. So they were both the ones kind of leading or dictating who's in, who's out, who we're going with, who we believe, who we don't believe. And now that Cirie is still standing and Coach is gone, everybody that was reporting to Coach is going to have to scatter. So it'll be really interesting next week to see where everybody falls.
Do you think that there's going to be like a big shakeup, or do you think that we'll see?
There's got to be a shake. Everybody can't work together, and the people that are independent can't know they.
I'm trying to think, so I'm like making notes here. So what we know, the people that we know are like pretty solid together at this point. It's like 3 groups of 3, and then we'll have to see where the other people fit. So Joe, Jonathan, and Stephanie have been working together. Devens, Christian, and Emily have been working together. Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo. So then we have Tiff and Aubrey. And I think we can now put Aubrey in the Devens, Christian, Emily group if they stay together. Because I could also see Emily sort of jumping ship and working with Cirie, Ozzy, and Rizzo.
She's a bridge. So that's either going to make her valuable or it's going to make her a target. And I don't know which one it's going to be.
I think it's going to be valuable. I know you don't want to
hear that. A big Emily fan. I love it. I love it. Well, I
just feel like she is, I get that there was a lot of stuff that people said was messy or whatever, but I feel like she's doing the best job of making relationships across the board, and she's not like ruffling feathers or putting a target on her own back, but she's still involved in all the conversations and is involved in like being on the right side of the vote. So I feel like that bodes well for her long term. And I could see her being like, well, oftentimes we see people who are playing the middle be the ones that get voted out, or like playing both sides. I mean, get voted out. I don't think that she's going to be found out. Like I think people will just ignore that and not even, because she's doing it in a kind of a subtle way, I guess, to some extent, because she's just being honest with everybody.
So I feel like Dee and Genevieve tried to play the game that Emily's playing. Emily is also sharing tons of information, and she's kind of transparent with a lot of different things, but she's being calculated about who she's sharing that information with. So it's not like she's just saying it's a free for all. She's saying, I'll tell you everything I know, but she's picking who she tells everything she knows to. So like she trusts Christian, she trusts Ozzy, she trusts somebody. Who else did she tell information to? Aubrey? Devens. But I feel she's doing what Dee and
some of the people all the information too.
Yeah. What Dee and Genevieve tried to do, and then Genevieve and Dee just talked to the wrong people. They trusted the wrong people.
They went too hard. Yeah. Got too aggressive. And like what I think the difference in the gameplay is, and this could be the edit, I have no idea. But Genevieve is running, she was like running around trying to get people to vote Aubrey out and like making a big stink. And Dee had that like open fight with Jonathan and was doing some like sketchy things aggressively that put a target on her back. And I feel like all Emily can be accused of at this point is sharing information with multiple groups, but she's not like out loud in your face playing the game and like being too aggressive and trying too hard to get people voted out. And I think that's what's been everybody's downfall. And I also think she's kind of lucky to some extent because Ozzy, I'm not sure what he's doing, but he feels very chaotic in like his decision making in terms of who he's going to trust. And I think she's lucky that he has like decided he can trust her. That feels very random to me, but I think that's going to take her a long way.
Well, because we know Cirie, Rizzo, and Ozzy are advantage wise dominating the game.
So intrigued to see. We talked about this a little bit last night when we watched live together and we live stream on TikTok as much as we can during the episodes. But it'll be interesting to see if Rizzo tries to like pull any of the shenanigans with his idol that we saw last time.
Do it last time.
Because I don't think that either of us think that would fly. I think these people would be like, "You're an idiot. You're gone now." But I almost feel like he's like reading the room a little bit and like changing his strategy a little bit to adjust to playing with veteran players who are no nonsense versus the people he's playing with last time.
Dare we say he's maturing? I think he's maturing.
What an accomplishment.
Yeah.
What is it? 52 days plus 2.
Yeah, that's all it took was a few months. They say a lot can change in a few months, and that was the case with Rizgod, baby. R-I-Z-G-O-D. We've not heard that in a while. I don't think we heard him say R-I-Z-G-O-D last episode at all. What a disappointment. What a disappointment.
I don't know if I've heard him say it in several episodes.
We're going to have to ramp that back up. We should start a drinking game. And every time he says it, take a little sip of it.
I would love that. So after we see that fallout from Tiffany, I feel like this episode got started real quick because I think it was like 20 minutes in, we were already at the challenge. It felt like less time than that. We right away found out that it was going to be sort of an interesting little twist on the game. And initially, it just seemed like sort of a minor twist in that they had to get into pairs that would work together in the challenge. And one person would be the odd man or woman out. Drew shots in the dark, and lo and behold, Cirie gets picked. And if this wasn't a blessing for a lady who does not perform well in challenge.
Yeah. No, that was the heavens shining upon Cirie. I think that validates my opinion that Cirie has been ordained to win Survivor Season 50 by Jesus himself. He came down and said, you don't have to participate. You can go to Exile Island. Because what are the odds of that happening? I know somebody's probably actually got the odds, but what are the odds?
Yeah.
Did you like that they let people pick their own teammate, or do you wish it was random?
Just random.
I wish it was random. I don't like it when they let them pick.
Yeah, and I thought that was a weird thing. I'm a challenge, like I haven't watched some of the most recent seasons of the challenge, but I really like it generally. And they have done similar things on that show where you get randomly paired up with someone and then you're both at risk for going home. And I think it adds like something to the strategy. And that's a different game because you're not like voting someone out, you're voting people to go compete to get voted out, or to get kicked out. But I think that would have added a really interesting element to the strategizing that they had to do because, you know, if you are randomly paired with, you have like one person from one alliance and one person from the other, and let's say it was something as crazy as like Coach and Cirie get paired together, you know, like if they're up for elimination, do you say, okay, well, we can risk somebody from our alliance because we've got to chop the head off of this other alliance, you know what I mean? Like, and the scrambling and stuff I think would have been more fun.
Yeah, I wish they couldn't have picked. I wish it was just like you get who you get, because to your point, it would have crossed enemy lines a little bit there, which would have been good for them.
I have one drawing thing real quick for the shot in the dark because it occurred to me as we're talking about this. I wonder if I think was it Coach who did the draw? I wonder if everybody sort of was like wink wink, make sure you pick Cerise because nobody wanted to work with her. And that's I'm not saying that to be
I
mean,
never
but like
thought about that.
she
No, but I
doesn't
think
perform.
she seems very self-aware in the fact that she would be like, valid. You're all valid. I played this game 47 times and I've never been good at challenges.
And the fact that I now think maybe it could have been rigged that she got picked by the other people, like making sure they weren't working with her. Maybe that's too far, but it's a possibility I think we have to
I like
consider.
that you're
I also,
I like
what?
that you're speculating.
Well, that's me. I like to come up with the conspiracies. And here's another one. I now am convinced that they have multiple like Exile Island things staged, and depending on who gets picked to go to Exile Island, they will decide like which one they take them to. And I have so many thoughts on this. I don't want to be chaotic about it, but first I'm like, of course, for the first time in a while, we see an opportunity to win something at Exile Island, and Cirie's the one that gets to go. And it's like, if this isn't going to just be so satisfying to all these people who love her and want to see her do something really big on Survivor 50, and like this is a story for her to tell, I think that's a little suspicious. Not that I'm not happy for her that she got to do that or anything, but I just was like,
Yeah. Well,
what did you
in the
think?
challenge itself, if it would have been like climb a wall, run around, lift sandbags, dig a hole, all these things like she would have been physically incapable of doing. So that also makes me suspicious is do you think that they produced the challenge based on the person? So like turning over a bunch of coconuts, and I'm not saying that was easy. I'm not saying that was easy, but I'm also saying it's not as physically hard as some of the other things that we've seen on Exile Island. Do you think they picked the challenge?
Well, I mean, yeah, like look at. I think they had to have already had it set up because 2,000 coconuts on a beach would have been rough. But I think that they could have had like an island where there was nothing, an island where there's 2,000 coconuts, and then an island where you have some crazy physical thing to do. And I'm thinking like, okay, last season, Steven having to run like a crazy person all over that island and deal with the tides and everything to get. I forget what he even got. It was. I'm sure it was like the block a vote or something. He had pick whose vote he was blocking in advance or something like that. To have people doing stuff like that, or even like that key thing that Ozzy and Coach McHugh did, and then have someone who just has to like run around and turn over coconuts. It felt a little. I don't know.
Um, Icky at best is what I'll say. Anyway, I'm glad to recap her vote. I don't think it would have changed the results of the jury. Do you?
No, and maybe that's why I'm not like as mad. Like when we found out she was gonna get to go to tribal council and cast a vote, I was thinking about last season when Savannah had a similar advantage where she was on, I think it was Exile Island or whatever. And she got to, after she won individual immunity, she got to go back and visit the losing tribe and I think she could vote in tribal, or she could save that vote.
Yeah,
And at the time I was livid. I was like, this is way too much of an advantage for somebody. Like you win individual immunity and you get, I think she ended up with three things out of that
yeah, it
situation.
was ridiculous.
And I was like, this is too much. And I would have been equally mad in this situation. I do like Cirie better, so that's part of it. But also, it wouldn't have been as impactful, I don't think. Like, because your point, I think there was never a chance that Chrissy and Coach weren't going to be the ones
Right.
going. And I don't even know if I believe that Ozzy would have voted out Devens and Aubrey. Maybe he would have. I guess, but
No, I don't think they would.
it's just
It
interesting.
is interesting. Well, getting into the challenge before
But it does, yeah.
before the challenge started, if they all divided up and it was easy to pick who we thought was going to do well and who we thought was maybe going to do poorly. But I'll be the first to admit, I was surprised by the performance of some of the teams and individuals that were participating. I think
Mhm.
that Christian and Jonathan did as well as I expected them to. I think Tiffany and Joe, they're a strong group. Aubrey and Devens, they came out of nowhere. This challenge, I loved how many stages and how many parts and pieces and puzzles there were. I thought that super engaging and intriguing to watch because we've seen a lot of endurance and we've seen a lot of water, but not a lot of like obstacle coursey type stuff. Um, which I was excited to see. I thought this episode was going to be the auction. So that's when I came in like mentally prepared to see. But instead, this double duo, double the fun, double the dip, double the demo came out of nowhere, and I love it.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Um, I agree with everything you just said. And I just add, I think it like a lot of these pairs, not all of them, but a lot of them, it felt like you had a mix of skills and abilities. And I think that the challenge itself was set up in that way where, there's a physical aspect and then like needing a little bit of thinking skills. So I thought it was kind of fun. Like I didn't really feel like there was any group that seemed like they were just completely incapable of doing any of these things. I mean, it was unfortunate that Chrissy and Coach couldn't get that basketball thing going sooner, but
Yeah, it is.
but yeah, that was fun.
Jonathan, so
And I was
Christian said he was just, I think I've got a little bit of a lag. So if you're listening and you hear a lag,
I think that was probably the major portion. If you want to be, what's the word, generous, you could probably also say that maybe he was thinking like strategically in, we need to add numbers to this, or maybe down the road I'll need to have an ally who's not in my alliance. So maybe he thought it would be like an olive branch type of thing. But I'm more convinced that it was just I'm a beast and you're really smart. Let's work together. He does really good in different stuff too. Yeah, I was surprised by that. For sure. I'm not sure why they would make that choice. I thought it was strange. And it was, I mean, it's like awkward too to have just two people sitting there eating, especially if you're not like super close to the end of the season where, you know, people can, yeah, that's the other thing is like there was no option here. So you're just like stuck with this random person that you got paired with. It was weird. I thought it was weird, but it made me want spaghetti. It's the new margarita. Yeah, like I had the latter. I thought she either was or is sort of naive and just accepting this, and it seems like most people would probably be more suspicious, but for some reason she's like, okay. And she genuinely thought, well, they wouldn't tell me this if they weren't really interested in working with me, which could be the case. But, or like you said, I think she recognizes that she's got to make friends with somebody. So if people are willing to talk to her, like I mean, that's what you need in Survivors, people who are willing to have a conversation with you. And if these two people are, and honestly, I mean, good for her because now she's got two people from different factions who are alleging anyway that they want to work with her. But yeah, that would have been really interesting if they had won because then they would have gotten somebody from one alliance and then gotten rid of a potential number for another. Yeah, I thought it was so bizarre. And I totally understand that Cerie's whole thing is her social game and people just trust her and they want to work with her and they love her. But I struggle with like understanding why and how she has that power. But I guess I was telling you yesterday, I feel like you just must have to like be in her presence and understand like just there must be like something that like she emits from her body that gets people to want to I would whenever the next person gets voted out who was working with her, I want to know more about that and how it actually played out because that'd just be strange. And it also kind of makes me annoyed because it like lessens everybody else's game because it makes them look like they can't strategize, they can't do anything, they can't make a decision. And maybe that's the case, but I don't want that to be the case for season 50, with all these returning players. And I don't think Ozzy's ever really been known for being a strategist, so I guess I shouldn't be shocked that he's wanting Cirie to like lead the charge, but it's true. Do you think that anytime soon we're going to get to like a cutthroat time when they'll really start to look at the people who have been making decisions and try to get rid of them? Like, I would think that next episode we need to see them start targeting Cirie, like anybody who's not actively working with her, because she's the one left who's like been making all the decisions. Like, we got rid of Coach, a decision maker. I would argue like Dee was probably a decision maker. Yeah, but I think that at least the edit we've been given, I don't feel like people are targeting him for some reason. Like his name didn't come up last night. It was Devens and Aubrey, not Christian and or whoever, Jonathan. But that could have been just happenstance of like we can get two people out, let's do it. And Aubrey or Devens is an idol king, and I don't know. I didn't really understand the target on Devens and Aubrey. Well, I do feel like there was a bit of like when you put a toddler in. Yes, that would be a move I think that everyone would rally behind for her. That'd be her like, shining moment in this game. But it was it was still, I think, a little bit annoying because they would kept showing him and he was still trying so hard. And it reminded me of like when you put your toddler down for a nap and they keep trying to open the door and come out, and you're like, no, 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 get back in there. And then they're wanting to play and stuff. Oh, wow. And I haven't watched any of his exit interview stuff at this point, but I am so curious to see what he says about it and if there's any like, if I had been out of the music, I would have talked my way out of it, sort of stuff. What? Yeah. Yeah. And I don't even know what to say about Chrissy because I just felt like other than being a number for that alliance, and I guess she had like one moment in one episode where I felt like she was really acting and kind of pressured some things to happen a little bit. But other than that, I often forgot that she was there, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but I'm just like, it's unfortunate for her. I think that she's gone home with Coach because he's going to get all the attention. I didn't hear any of the last part, but let me look some. This is a good opportunity. I want you to ask that again, but I'm gonna look something up real quick before. I want to see who voted for them because I want to. Well, the picture freezes, and that's not a big deal because I can still hear you most of the time. But sometimes the sound cuts out too. So, like, I heard you say, "Do you think?" And then, or I think I heard you say, "Do you think that if he hadn't pulled that idol?" And then I didn't hear anything else after that. Did you just say a bunch of stuff? Because I didn't hear any of it. Maybe it's me. Are we sure it's not? Yes. Yes. I heard you say, "Can you hear me now?" Okay. Yes. Do. And I was trying to see just now, like, who voted for whom because I wanted to make sure I didn't mess this up. But I think I saw, for example, Stephanie voted for Coach and Chrissy, and she was in their alliance, right? So like that, I don't think that would have happened. Like she was very clearly annoyed when she voted and like pissed off about the idol thing. And I really appreciated that she was like, "Let me see it," when he pretended that he found it. That was, I thought, really like savvy of her to be like questioning it. And for a second, I thought it was going to blow up in his face because I forget who said something, but somebody else said something that caused Devens to respond. And it almost felt like he was going to start like being too nervous or talking too much or something like that about it and kind of make everybody suspicious. But he kind of then held back and it died down before the vote. But I was like, this would be interesting if somebody really is like, I want to see what this is. But I thought I think Stephanie for sure changed her vote. Um, I think I saw that Joe voted for Coach and Chrissy, and I don't think he would have if he didn't think there was an idol. But it was a very confusing vote. I will say that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I agree. And I am not shocked at all that she looked absolutely gorgeous, but it was fun. And I loved her outfit. I wish I could wear something like that, but definitely cannot. Yeah. Yeah. I think I tried to look it up one time and I was still confused, but I think they do have to bring clothes. Like, I don't think that they have a chance to get clothes when they're there, at least according to what I read, but that may not be true. I don't know. But one thing I'm always concerned about or confused about is they know they're going to lose a lot of weight, so they have no idea what like size they'll be and stuff. So how do they deal with that if they have to? Because I think all their clothes they have to send in advance, and then the producers approve things. That's a good thought. And surely, like they just have stuff, like it. I don't know, but yeah, man, I can't find. I'm so mad. I can't find who voted for whom. But I'll just look at my list here. So I think obviously Cirie was always going to vote for Coach. Tip was always going to vote for Coach. Aubrey and Devens, Christian were going to vote for Coach. So the people who maybe wouldn't have would be Joe, Jonathan. I don't know about Emily. She's such a interesting guy. I never know what she's really thinking, which is another reason I think she's going to win. I think Rizzo is another one who well, I guess he would vote for with Cirie, so he was going to vote Coach and Chrissy. So I think really the only people who may have changed their vote because of it would have been Stephanie, Joe, and Jonathan. And I almost no, it yeah, I don't think it really would have mattered ultimately. I guess is the point of all of that. But it was fun to see it. Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah. So when we were watching last night, my immediate thought when Jeff said if anybody has an advantage now, it's time to play it, is he would get up and play it and it would come out as a fake and he would act like somebody must have set him up, like not take responsibility for it and, act like somebody set him up. And if you look at the clue, I mean, I don't know if he would have gotten to take it back to tribal with him or whatever. It's the Billie Eilish thing. So then he could play it off like Genevieve must have done this, or whoever else found, I forget now who else found the Billie Eilish idol. I guess it was Christian. So he could have played like Genevieve must have set him up. And who could prove that? She found two, so she would have had the clues. But then when he in my mind pivoted because but this is probably his plan the whole time. He instead says, "Oh, I can't play it right now." Now I feel like he's setting himself up to be exposed either as a liar, and he's gonna have to decide which of these things he wants to do as they're walking back from tribal. Does he want to say, you know, I made this up and everybody be like, oh, damn, we got to get you out of here because you are too, cunning or whatever. Or he has to try to pretend like he has something, lie to his alliance, or tell his alliance the truth. And they'll obviously be like, oh, that's great. Cool. And then the other people, to your point, would try to target him. Then he's in trouble because then he does have to, I mean, he's risking that they're going to write his name down. And then if he plays an idol, they'll just have a backup person. But then I think we have to really break down the numbers and see who's with whom. Do you think that there's an obvious target from, huh? What? Yeah, like an obvious target in my mind, like, yeah, Cirie, probably Tiff, Ozzy, Rizzo, and then I don't know. I don't know how the rest of it's going to shake out. Maybe Joe gets in there too. Like, whoever that dominating alliance will be going forward, is there somebody that they might be targeting? Or just in general, if there is some sort of shakeup or something, who do you see them being like, this person has to go? She would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also probably hard because there's still kind of a lot of people and you want to keep a tight group that so you feel safe. So is it too soon to start, turning on your alliance and stuff like that or whatever? Because I feel like Tiffany and Stephanie would be like easy votes. They're not like strategic targeted votes. They're just like, let's just make sure they're not voting against us sort of things. Whereas like looking at Cirie and Christian, maybe Devens, like those are people I would think should have big targets on their back because they seem really strategic and good and like threatening at the end. So I don't know. No, so long, coach. Happy to see you go. Can't wait to see what happens next.